Hey friends, great to see you today. This short video is designed to introduce you to the new strategic plan that we have in mind for our assembly beginning in 2021. We call this strategic plan Better. Let me begin with a quick story. Tiger Woods is a professional golfer, and I'm assuming most everyone here on this video has heard the name Tiger Woods. Well, Tiger is so good that he is considered to be perhaps the greatest in the game of golf ever. Let me just give you a couple of statistics. He's tied for the most professional victories with Sam Snead at 82. Jack Nicklaus has 72. Sam Snead won his 82nd victory when he was 52. Tiger was only 43 when he won. In fact, when Tiger Woods turned professional, he won 5 tournaments in his first 263 days as a professional golfer. Every time Tiger Woods tees it up at a tournament, there's a 1 in 5 chance that he's going to win, which makes him the golfer with the highest winning percentage in all of the history of golf. So if you're listening to these statistics, here's what I want you to know. Tiger Woods really is good, maybe the best ever. But something happened to him in 1997 that I think is, to me, is really mind-blowing. He had won the Masters golf tournament by a record-setting 12 strokes. When he looked back on the tournament, though, he said that he got away with murder. Why did he say that? Well, about a week or so after winning the tournament, Tiger Woods was sitting in his house by himself, and he was watching the tape of his performance at the Masters. And he was amazed at what he saw. Not amazed because he thought he was doing so well, but when he looked at his swing, he didn't see a single flaw. He saw 10. In fact, after seeing those 10 flaws, he realized that he needed to be better if he was going to continue to win on the professional tour. So here's what he did. He goes out and he hires Butch Harmon to be a swing coach. They change his swing. Everyone said that once he changed his swing, that was going to be the end of Tiger, but it wasn't. He kept winning. He changed his swing again. In fact, he's changed his swing 3 times, and that has made him become one of the greatest golfers, if not the greatest golfer in the history of the game. Why did Tiger Woods do this? Very simple reason. Because he knew that each stage of his career, he needed to adapt his swing to his body so that he could become better. Now, as I'm listening to that story, that inspires me. I realize that at every stage of my ministry career, I need to become better. Now, while the story's not biblical, the concept is biblical. We look through the scriptures, we see leaders who are upping their game, who are changing their life and their ministry so that they could be better. King David was one after his affair with Bathsheba. He says in verse 13 of Psalm 51, I will teach transgressors your way, and sinners will turn back to you. He made a commitment to the Lord to be better and not be the man he was. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. We now recognize him as one of the greatest disciples to have ever lived. And of course, there's Paul. Paul tells us in 2 different passages in the New Testament how good he really was. He had risen to the highest level in his religion. But on the road to Damascus, Jesus met him and he was changed. He was changed for the better. In fact, this same Apostle Paul, years later, is writing in the book of Philippians that he has not attained everything that God has for him. In other words, I'm going to paraphrase it into the TBW version, the Timothy Bryan West version. I have not yet gotten perfect. I've not yet become perfect. I'm not as good as I can be, so I need to become better. In fact, the Apostle Paul writes, brothers, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of all of this, but here's what I do. I forget what's behind and I strain forward to what is ahead. Here's what I know about you and me. You're pretty good at what you do. I'm pretty good at what I do. But I also know this. We both can be better. I also know that we're not perfect. And as a friend of mine once told me, better doesn't need perfect. Because perfect is perfect. Until we're perfect, we need to get better. That's the heart of this new strategic plan, that we might be better. And here's our little saying. It's better through Jesus and for the world. Now let me give you a few nuts and bolts of the strategic plan that's coming out. For the next couple of minutes, let me show you kind of what we call the meat of our plan. And this is how the journey is going to take place. Now think about a race for a second. And in this race, there are numerous legs in the journey. And each leg kind of builds on each other. It's kind of like a relay race. In our plan, it's a similar path that we're taking here. And so when we look at this, there are 5 legs in this race that we're running. The first is what we're calling the organizing leg. That's where we've got where we bring this tool to your congregation, to your leaders, and you get to use this really new cutting-edge tool to help assess where your church is at in its ministry. It helps identify places of strength and also places where you might shore up and be a little bit better in the ministry locally. From the organizing phase, we move into this phase that we call, this leg that we call the reaching leg. For us, it's all about the gospel. It's about connecting people to Jesus Christ. And so in this plan, we use a phrase called the gospel gap. In the gospel gap, it means that there's this chasm between what people believe about Jesus and who Jesus actually is. And it takes Christians like you and I to close that gospel gap so that they will know Jesus personally and come to heaven. In our needs assessment survey, almost all of you said we needed help in this area, and so this is one of the pieces in our strategic plan that we want to address. We got a lot of tools to help us do that. Out of this leg, we come into this next connecting leg here. This connecting leg is connecting the heart of your church to the heart of people. It's connecting the heart of the mission and embedding it in the heart of the people who come to the church. You may have people who've been sitting in your church for a long time who've never really contributed. They're sitting on the sidelines, and maybe you've even complained, man, how do I get them out of the bleachers and onto the field and play the game? Well, in this connecting leg, we're going to help you do that so that you can get more support that you need for people to help you in fulfilling your mission. Now, out of that comes this, what we call the discipling leg. This poor drawing is meant to represent the feet of Jesus. What we're saying here is we want you to walk in this world with the values and attitude, heart and intent like Jesus would if he were living here today. Now, you may not wear sandals, that's okay. But we want you to be like Jesus in the way you walk in the world. And so we want to help you create robust, really strong disciples who are strengthening in their faith every day. That's the discipling leg. Out of the discipling leg, we're going to go over to what we call this leading leg. The leading leg is so critical because as we raise up leaders, the church becomes stronger. It becomes mightier. It becomes more invincible because the strength of leaders is the strength of your church. Your leaders are your backbone of the church. And so we've got some tools that we're going to use to help you develop leadership in your congregation. Now, as your church does all of these things, here's the end result. It's going to be the result of multiplication, reproduction. Early on in this video, we mentioned that one of our goals is that we would be a reproducing body. We're going to reproduce disciples. We're going to reproduce ministry locations so that the gospel of Jesus Christ closes this gap and it spreads out throughout Texas. And we think this will be a great avenue for helping us help Texas grow to be the church that God wants it to be. How do you become a part of this journey? Well, we've got what we call, we're calling it Choose Your Path. So we've got 2 paths that you can choose. One of the paths is what we call Elevate. Now, many of you may remember that years ago, we did a program that we called Elevate. Many of your churches participated in that. We're going to bring that back in a different format. It's kind of an Elevate 2.0, if you will. Instead of you coming to a location and retreating for 3 days, we're going to bring it on site and be more intense in your location to help you or maybe a partner church to come together and to develop what you need to build this church that can fulfill the mission of Jesus Christ. So that is a fully guided, interactive process that we help you engage in. That's path 1. A second path is what we call the self-curated path. The self-curated path is where you may say, well, my church doesn't need this, or this, but we really want some help here, or we really want some resources here. And so you're speaking to us and asking us, what resources do you have? How can we help you in this journey? Path 2 is the self-curated path. This is the path where you get to choose what you believe is in the best interest and the most need in your local congregation. It's not the full elevated program, it's bits and pieces of that program that we infuse to your already existing ministry. We're going to have lots of resources to be able to help you do that. We're going to have tools for lead pastors, associate pastors, lay leaders, emerging leaders, clergy, spouses, and really we've got a fully robust and comprehensive plan for training leaders on the self-curated path. Now, as we end this little video, I know there's probably going to be questions. I would refer you back to the printed brochure that you're going to receive. As always, you're welcome to ask me questions. But at the end of the day, here's what I want to remind us. Better is not about our human efforts as much as it is about our spiritual partnership with God. Remember, He provides the purpose. He provides the vision. He provides the energy. All we do is respond to His grace, and we walk in the light that He has given us. We walk in the resources that He has given us. So in other words, the way I like to say it is this: He acts, we respond. That's spiritual partnership. And to me, the real spiritual key to unlock success in ministry is simply this. It's a simple formula. It's a simple little thing to remember, but faithfulness culminates in fruitfulness. If you're faithful to the vision God gives you, to the purpose He's given you, to using the resources that He gives you, the way that He wants you to use them, if you're faithful in doing that, fruitfulness will come. It will come. Always. I believe that's the case. So my friends, I'm looking forward to the next 3 or 4 years to seeing how God is going to help make us better here in Texas. God bless you.